Live from Los Angeles. It's time to get inside. The Gamers Dome with your host, Scott Gerhardt. Bringing you all of today's gaming news and information all in one place. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Welcome to the Gamers Dome.
Welcome everyone to episode 27 of the Gamers Dome. I am your host, Sky Gerhardt, and joining me on the mic this week we have digital nerdage host Pat. You know what? I always mispronounce it. Is it Kawula?
Koala. Like the bear.
Like the bear. Pat Kawula. Okay. God, man. You would think I would pronounce it correctly by now.
But, I mean, we've only known each other like 5 years, you know. It's...
I know. It's, what? Oh, man. So, Pat, how's your week been?
Oh, not too bad so far. Got a promotion at work, so that's always a good thing.
Woohoo!
I know, right?
Man, where's my sound effects board? I need to hit the cheering button now.
But, you know, it's a crazy week. For those who don't know, I'm a Midwester. I'm out in northern lower Michigan. And if you don't understand that, just come here. You'll get it. And it's actually a big week here because we have the Traverse City Film Festival, which is run by Michael Moore. So it's lots of tourists in town. So it's going to get really crazy starting today.
You had me up until Michael Moore.
You know what? Politics aside, he actually lives here. He has a place just about 45 minutes north of Traverse City, and he has done some amazing things. He has now restored 2 buildings and turned them into active movie theaters. One of which just premiered for this film festival. He took an old museum that was part of an old zoo that we had, restored that. That's just opening today, and he took one of our downtown movie theaters that was closed for 20 years and turned it into an everyday art house movie theater.
Oh, gosh darn it. I hate saying anything positive about Michael Moore, but that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough pill sometimes. But yeah, I mean, what about you, Scott? Anything fun and exciting out there on the West Coast?
Let's see. I played a little bit of Magic this weekend.
Just a little?
Well, really just a little. I mostly played a qualifier, a Pro Tour qualifier, which did not go well. But in the same respect, I really wasn't trying to do well. I know that sounds silly. But I needed some Planeswalker points, so I was kind of going in with it only needing a couple of wins. So I did get the wins I needed.
Is this for qualifying for Grand Prix Stabby Stab Stab?
It was indeed to get enough Planeswalker points for 2 buys to Grand Prix Stabby Stab Stab. My apologies to all of our Oakland fans. For referring to your town as Stabby Stab Stab.
It'll all come out in the wash, you know that.
Yes. But yeah, no, I did that. I'm trying to think what else I've done. I really can't think. The whole week's a blur. I know I did other stuff, and some of it was fun. I know I'm going to DEF CON this weekend. In Las Vegas. It's a hacker convention. I'm sure some of you know what it is. Maybe some of you are going to, but I'll be real honest with you. I don't actually know a whole lot about it. I'm kind of being sent for work.
You know, I'm not too sure what that is either, but a hacker convention sounds like it could be pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might actually be. So, yeah, I'll be manning a table. I'll be manning a table for Scotty Vest. So if anyone is there And so, like, you'll kind of have to know it's me because I'm not going to have anything that actually says Gamers Dome. So if you find the Scotty Vest booth, I should be the only person behind there, so you can come by and say hi. I should come up with something to give away if anyone actually does. If anyone actually finds me and says hi, and you've never co-hosted the show, because there are some people in Vegas who might actually come by and say hi who have co-hosted, I'll come up with something to give away. First person who does it. I doubt anyone will, but why not?
Well, I mean, they can see the glare off that dome from quite a ways away.
Yeah, I chromed it up today. Okay, so I suppose let's move into our news and information.
Just let me drag you kicking and screaming into that.
So let's start with fiction mimicking reality here. Monopoly's getting rid of jail. It's actually kind of funny. I saw a Daily Show. I think it was the other night that was talking about this and how apropos it is that Monopoly is getting rid of jail. It's
the testament to the times, I guess, would be the way to put it.
Oh, well, no, it's funny because I often will accumulate news stories throughout the week and I just put them into a document, and sometimes I don't really look back over them.
You didn't check the update, did you?
No, I didn't.
I was going to bring it up. Don't worry.
So,
you had a great lead going there.
Yeah. Well, damn.
Yeah. The thing is, the original story was well written, and it was smart because it does make sense because, jail, it does add a lot of time to the game sometimes in regular Monopoly. And this isn't, the one thing to take from this isn't regular Monopoly. This
Very
is
true.
a new version called Monopoly Empires.
Yes.
Where you're going to be, to me it seems more stock markety than real estate because you're working with major brands, Xbox, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, all those things. But yeah, they did come out and say that they were misrepresented or it was miscommunicated by their PR person that they are not getting rid of jail because I think that I think they took a page out of Microsoft's book and said, "Oh wait, people got pissed."
Yeah. They made fun of us on the Daily Show. Maybe we should put it back. Oops, our bad. Okay, so I'm going to move on very quickly and.
Well, before we do,
Oh.
some other. I know I'm going to keep burying you, but no, I found this interesting. Was in addition to that link, there was a link to talk about the Monopoly McDonald's game, and I found it extremely interesting that that the chances of getting Boardwalk, which is the rare piece in the blues, everyone gets Park Place, nobody gets Boardwalk.
That is you are actually incorrect on that.
Nope.
It is backwards, I believe.
Nope.
Are you sure?
That is the only one that the last in the alphabet is not the rare piece.
Okay.
In every other set, the last letter in the alphabet is the rare piece. Boardwalk has always been the rare piece.
Yep, I knew that. Okay. No, I believe you.
But the odds of getting Boardwalk, 1 in 602,490,060, 3.5 times less likely than hitting the Powerball jackpot.
And it pays a lot less and clogs your arteries a lot more.
I know.
Yeah, I clogged my arteries a little bit this morning, actually. I didn't even realize that Monopoly had come back to McDonald's because, to be honest, I eat McDonald's very infrequently and always before 10:30 a.m. I had to go to my storage, and I passed by one. I'm like, ooh, breakfast. Ooh, Monopoly. Ooh, I didn't win. Anything. Like, I always feel bad. Like, I get something that has, like, three game pieces, and I get nothing. Like, it's 1 in 4, and I got 3 of them. Man, I got screwed on the odds there. That next person behind me. Okay, I should leave the humor up to the professionals. So, Microsoft has reversed some publishing requirements for indie developers, which is really cool because they're going to allow independent developers to actually be able to self-publish titles on the Xbox One, and that the box itself can be used to make the games. That's wow.
This is a no-brainer. And this is just more of Microsoft saying, oh no, we're getting in trouble. Because while the Xbox 360 did need a development kit even for indie developers, if I could be wrong, but as I recall that they did need some form of development kit. But I think it was an online tools kit. They had the indie marketplace. They had the indie section, and they're throwing them all back into the mix of just one games marketplace, no indie part of it. The indie games will be mixed in, and that was just basically killing any small developer. So I think this is a great thing for them to do, but I think it's just more of them saying, "Oh my God, how badly did we screw up?"
Well, Microsoft's getting very good at this whole CYA thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if nothing else, it's something positive to report, whether it's CYA or not. And at the very least, it's getting them some positive coverage from other places. Microsoft creator Marcus Persson actually spoke up specifically to praise the news. He said, quote, "I think it's a wonderful idea to have the actual box be the dev kits. This makes it easier for both the developer and for Microsoft, and presumably they could make it a lot cheaper since they'd only sell unlock codes." So, that's, I mean, considering one of the more successful indie developers currently is coming out and praising it, I think that's noteworthy.
Oh, absolutely. No, and it's while I get down on Microsoft pretty hard, I'm just glad that they saw the error of their ways and are fixing these things. You know, I beat on them because they wanted to test the things at the wrong time. People bring up Sony did the same testing of, oh, we're going to do DRM, we're going to do this. They did it a year and a half before they announced the system. And they realized it. So it's just a matter of I'm a little hard on them because I think their timing was terrible.
So let's keep moving on the development idea here. Facebook is launching a mobile game publishing program. They announced Facebook Mobile Games Publishing, which is an all-new pilot program aimed at helping small and medium-sized medium-sized developers release their games around the world. Cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you get much more of a juggernaut behind you than Facebook. I mean, just their advertising alone is going to get them extra hits. I mean, really. I mean, when you consider, I personally believe it was more Facebook than mobile that probably got Candy Crush to the point that it's at, and certainly the mobile parts helped with it. But yeah, I mean, you get Facebook behind you on something like this, and I mean, all of a sudden, something that might not have gotten hardly any exposure or even the ability to get off the ground now can get off the ground and get heavy exposure. Yeah, well, and they already have, from the looks of this, about 10 games that they've already got into the program. And one of them actually is from Game Evil, which they've done a couple pretty good games. There's a baseball home run derby type game that I really liked, and I'm completely blanking on the name now, but I recognize the Game Evil name. So it's there's certainly some things I'm going to check out without question. I mean, just seeing these names and what they're doing with them. So
yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to to the gaming environment on Facebook in general, just because of this. Once it all gets up and rolling. So, in some board game news, flipping over to that for a minute, Star Trek Attack Wing.
Yeah, I was kind of doing some digging for some things for the show, and I found out that this is going to be coming out at Gen Con here in just a couple of weeks in Indianapolis, and I've kind of started to get more into board games again, and I found the X-Wing game, which is a really cool, kind of a space combat simulation. You have the X-Wings and the TIE fighters and things like that, and it allows you to, determine what kind of move you're going to make and firing ranges, and it's a bunch of different strategy things involved in this, and it's, a big full-size table layout for all this to happen on, and it's really interesting, and to see it in a Star Trek universe, this looks pretty cool. They've been developing this for quite a while, and I think their major development with WizKids, their publisher, has been about 7 months, but they've obviously been working on this since before that. So, if you're a fan of board games, and especially the X-Wing game, this is definitely going to be another one. They've already got a bunch of expansions planned for things, just tons of different things.
Yeah, and WizKids is, I'm pretty well in on WizKids, and they usually do a really good job of the games that come out. So seeing them partnered in with that gives me a lot of hope for this game.
Yeah, and they will have tribbles, just so you know.
Tribbles! So some companies doing well. Some companies have lost 3 of their top executives in 1 month. I'm looking at you, Zynga. In 1 month, the Zynga has actually lost 3 of its top executives, according to a new report over on Bloomberg. That's not good. Now they're not public, but they're said to be one of the senior vice presidents, the casino division vice president, and another vice president. So. Yeah,
when you are losing $15.8 million in a quarter, some definite changes need to be made. And they just got a new CEO at Zynga, Don Matrick. So it sounds like he's kind of cleaning house and taking some people out of positions to try and right the ship at Zynga. And Zynga publishes great stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that just tune them out because they're overly social. And I think one of the best things that they can ever do is just set it up so you can only send to people that play the games. And a lot of people play them, but I think you could see some different. I think we'll see a different model from them. I think we'll see some different options and strategies from them here in the future with new leadership. So I'm kind of excited because I've dabbled in. Heck, I've hardcore played quite a few Zynga games. So.
I've been there as well. I do. I feel like it does go a little bit along with the culture too, though. Zynga early on took games that were good in concept, mediocre in production. They basically copied them and added more production value and the heavy social aspect because they knew how to market it and they knew how to produce it. And then they went nuts with it. And early on, when there weren't a whole lot of games out there, they captured a huge percentage of the market. Now, heck, I remember playing Farmville. I don't remember the last time I've touched Farmville now. There's just so many better games out there. And that's the thing, is that your investment in a game is only going to last for so long before you realize, oh, crap, there's just a lot of other games out there, and they're just better. So... Zynga's got to do something. The copy someone else's game and make it better model. That's not going to get you so it's not going to get you places for too long. It'll make you money in the short run, but yeah, when you start seeing a 45% dip in your games being played, that's what happens. New games. Rovio unveiled a sequel to Angry Birds Star Wars. Angry Birds Star Wars 2.
Really creative with the name, weren't they?
I know. So we'll get Anakin, Mace Windu, and Darth Maul in this one. A bunch of other fun stuff like telepods.
These are going to be kind of Skylanders-esque items.
Yep.
With the NFC near-field communication. So that'll be interesting to see how they put that in there, because I think one of the coolest things about those near-field toys is that they have onboard memory. So you're able to take them no matter what system you're playing on. You can take that information with you. I think that's kind of one of the coolest things that Activision and now I'm blanking on who makes the Skylanders toys themselves, but that they made it universal. All the characters are universal. They're not keyed to a certain console.
Yep. Okay, Ouya. We've been talking about the Ouya. A report has come out, confirmed by the CEO Julie Ehrman, that only about 27% of Ouya owners have actually purchased games. I'm not shocked by that. I'm in the 73. I own an Ouya. I've yet to purchase a game. I've played a number of demos, but I haven't found a game yet that I've won. Now, in fairness, I haven't gotten to play my Ouya as much as I'd like. So maybe if I was playing it more, I might have found some. But I don't know. I don't know if mobile gaming has gotten me used to the idea of anything over $2.99 being too expensive for a game, or the concept of the Ouya being so cheap that I don't want to pay $10 to $15 for a game, even though it's a reasonable price, or if it's just fun to sample around a bit. So, but whatever it is, I'm in the majority.
Well, I guess the thing is I guess I missed what the pricing was going to be on these Ouya games, and if they're 10 to 15, yes, that sounds like a good price, but they're really just glorified Android games. They're just, and I think there's free games out there that are probably as big as some of these games. Some of these games get put together with big, they send out for free and they put ad based and things like that. And while you don't want to necessarily do that, but more than $5 at the most for an Android game is I think that's your kind of break point. I know they're trying to make money, but you gotta aim small, miss small, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it seems cheap compared to like a PS4 or an Xbox game, but then again, it doesn't quite have the production value that they do. So I agree. I feel like they need to lower their price points a little bit. It would be a little bit easier to get people to purchase more games. So, I mean, it's a new company, and they're experiencing growing pains, and I'm sure they're listening to what's going on. So it will be interesting to see how they respond.
Yeah, and I'm sure they have quite a cushion with the extraordinary success of their Kickstarter. I'm sure the Ouya has just a little bit of wiggle room to do some things with. So, and in fact, they're even offering a $1 million Free the Games fund that will match Kickstarter crowdfunding for original products that will remain exclusive on the platform for at least 6 months. So that's kind of a cool thing for them to attract more and bigger developers and activating on the Kickstarter that launched them to where they are. Yeah,
I agree. So our last story that we're going to cover, wildly popular author Neil Gaiman has announced...
Gaiman.
Is it Gaiman?
It's Gaiman.
Okay, Pat Kawula. I can't pronounce anyone's name. Neil Gaiman has revealed Wayward Manor, which is going to be his first video game, a supernatural-themed game centered around the story of a ghost.
This is an instant buy for me. I love Neil Gaiman. He's just absolutely phenomenal writer, and if he's going to be the lead on this and is going to be writing this game, the graphics could just bomb on this. As long as the gameplay is decent, I'm going to play the heck out of this to get the story. He
described it as being lighthearted and goofy, so it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
And that's pretty much Neil in a nutshell. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should. He's one of the funniest creators I see on Twitter. So,
yeah, it's I've seen some of his stuff. Admittedly, I haven't really read any of it, but I know how popular he is, and it's one of those things I should get around to reading. So, when we come back from the break, we are going to have renowned game designer Andrew Looney on the show. We're going to talk about his newest game out there. Catch it all on the other side of the break. You are listening to the Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network.
Are you looking for Magic the Gathering singles? Shuffle and Cut Games' friendly staff has provided gamers one of the internet's biggest selections of singles since 2000. And if you have extra cards you don't need anymore, Shuffle and Cut Games has one of the most extensive buy lists around, paying top dollar for your unwanted cards. If you live near our La Habra, California location, come down and play in our weekly Friday night Magic tournaments. For more info, visit shuffleandcut.com. That's shuffleandcut.com. Shuffle and Cut Games, your source for Magic the Gathering. Attention techno fans, you're listening to Electro Motion by Studiotronics. Just one of the many exciting tracks from their album, Straight from the Source. Stimulate your brain and get your body moving to these high-energy cuts. Also, check out their newest single available for download, Electro. Don't just sit there, get your fix for Studiotronics. Now available on iTunes, Amazon.com, and CDBaby.com.
Scott here for Loot Crate. If you want to get the best and coolest geek and gamer stuff delivered right to your door every month, then you've got to get a Loot Crate. We've been doing these unboxings for, 3 or so months on YouTube, and they're just awesome. I mean, each month you're getting like $30 worth of stuff shipped right to you with a new theme every month, like Equip, Mashup, Token, and more. I've yet to open a disappointing box, and knowing these guys, I never will. You can get your own today with a special discount just for our listeners. They're normally $13.37 a month, but head over to lootcrate.com and enter in the promo code DOME to get 10% off. For the price of a cheap game download, you get shirts, bags, toys, plushes, stickers, and more. You never know what they're going to ship that month. It's great. So just head over to lootcrate.com, sign up with promo code DOME for 10% off. You'll be glad you did. Again, that's loot, L-O-O-T, crate.com, promo code DOME for 10% off. Welcome back to the Gamers Dome. And there goes the music.
You have the longest pauses in the history of radio.
Dramatic pause. Okay.
No, they call that dead air.
Oh, is that what it's called in radio? Man, I got to work on that. Okay. So our guest at this time, he is actually a former programmer for NASA. He's been working as a game designer for nearly 20 years now. He's won a total of 5 Origin Awards, 2 Mensa Mind Games Awards, 2 Parents' Choice Awards, amongst others for his various games. His newest game, Fluxx The Board Game, was just released in stores. Please welcome Andrew Looney to the show. Hey, Andrew, how's it going?
Hi there, it's going really well.
Excellent. So, welcome. So, I have to start with the first question here. How do you go from being a NASA programmer to a game designer?
I got lucky. I was kind of accidental happenstance. I kind of backed into it. But Actually, I think that programming was really good training for the craft of inventing games.
Really? So let's go ahead and start with what's got to be Looney Labs' flagship game, Fluxx. For those who have never actually played it, can you tell us a little bit about Fluxx?
Sure. Fluxx is a card game about change that changes as you play it. The rules change from one turn to the next. How you win changes. Everything that you're... Oh, I'm getting some feedback on the phone.
Are you listening to the show on your computer?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I it's on down the hall, but I'm in a quiet room.
Okay.
I've moved to a different room.
Okay.
Well, let's keep trying. Anyway, Fluxx is a game about change that changes as you play it. Like I said, it's the card game of ever-changing rules. So from one turn to the next, you'll be drawing and playing a different number of cards. How you win can change many times during the course of one turn. It's very unpredictable and chaotic. And it's our biggest hit by far. It's available in a wide range of flavors, from Monty Python to Zombie to Cthulhu to Pirates to Star Fluxx.
Yeah,
we featured on Tabletop. Yeah,
I actually just got to play the Monty Python Fluxx version recently, and let me tell you, you know what, though? I might actually need to get a ruling from you while I have you here. Does Canadian count as an outrageous accent?
I would say so, if it's outrageous enough, eh?
Okay. I know there's somebody out there listening that you've now gotten your ruling on that one. Okay. So you decided to make this board game adaptation for Fluxx, and I'm going to be real honest with you. When I first heard about it, I thought, well, okay, this is where Fluxx is going to jump the shark. But I have a copy of the game. I have been playing it, and I could not be more wrong about that. This game is incredibly fun, crazy addicting. So I've got to ask you, after the success of the board game or the card game, and as long as it's been around, what actually made you decide to adapt it into a board game?
Well, actually, it was a very specific suggestion from a good friend of mine named Josh Drobina. Hi, Josh. Josh said, and he got the idea from a dream. He came in one day and said, just had this vision of like a box on the shelf that just said, Fluxx the Board Game. And I said, shut your mouth. I was just saying, like, but immediately it was like the gauntlet was thrown down, and I started thinking about it. Couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day I was like, all right, I got ideas. And I'm so pleased to hear that you think it's really great. I'm very pleased with the way it came out. It takes the card game to the dimension of the board game, and I kind of drew on a bunch of ideas. Some people who played my Ice House, my Looney Pyramids game called Martian Coasters have compared it to that because it's got a certain similarity of the way the tiles move around. So I guess I drew on some of my other successes. Plus, of course, it's got a lot of the card game in it. It's draw one, play one, but now also move pieces.
Yeah, and I really loved how I've always kind of described Fluxx as a sort of controlled chaos, and I love how well it. When I play the board game, I feel like I'm playing Fluxx. I feel like that change. Like there's a strategy aspect, but the chaos can just cause all of my strategy to all of a sudden just become null and void. Like, oh look, I drew the color change card. All of everything you've been doing now. Thank you for the help. And I really, really have enjoyed playing it. I think it is an absolutely fantastic game. But you mentioned the pyramids here, and I know you have a particular love for the pyramid gaming system, which I actually got to try out recently as well. I tried Treehouse and I tried Pharaoh, and I thought both are very interesting games. It took me a minute. Admittedly, to get Treehouse to understand, but once I started to understand the aspects of it, I thought it was awesome. So, tell us a little bit about the pyramids, because I think it's a very neat gaming system.
You just said it perfectly about when you were talking about Treehouse, that it took you a little bit to get your brain around it, but once you did, you thought it was awesome. That's the pyramids have that kind of issue with them. People they look at them and they don't know what to make of them because they're just not like anything else. The closest comparison I can make to what they're like is like a deck of playing cards, except like from another planet. You know how a deck of playing cards, it's this set of basic generic gaming equipment that you can use for hundreds of different games. And so you say, we're going to play a game. You want to play bridge or poker or go fish or war, or maybe we'll just build a house out of cards, or we'll just play 52 card pickup. There's all these ranges of things. And okay, we're gonna play poker. Well, okay, we need to round up some other equipment for that. We need some poker chips, right? So it's just like that. The pyramids are this set of beautiful crystal-like gaming pyramids, come in this rainbow of colors, and they come in several sizes with different denominations, and you can use these pyramids for hundreds of different games. Last count, it's over 420 some games. And people are inventing new games for it all the time. It's amazing how many games. I myself have only invented about 25 games for them. But I've invented 25 games for these pyramids. And there are some really great games among that set. Some that I'm really proud of. Easy ones, hard ones, everything in between. And like with a deck of cards, some of them you don't need anything but the deck of cards. Others you might need poker chips or the equivalent. In fact, some of the I keep calling it Ice House pyramids, and that's old habit. The very first game you could play with these back 20 years ago when we first got started doing this was a game called Ice House. And for years we called them Ice House pieces because of that first game that kind of named them.
Yeah, I remember that.
The problem with that is people then think, oh, Ice House is where I need to start, and they fixate on that. And much as I still love Ice House for various reasons, it's a difficult one to start with and not the one I recommend. I think Treehouse or Pharaoh or some of these Ice Dice are much better places to jump into the system to get started. So in order to discourage that and to avoid the confusion, we've come up with them, just call them, after our company, Looney Labs, they're Looney Pyramids, as a just generic gaming system name. But it's like the deck of playing cards. You don't call them poker cards. You don't call them hearts cards, my personal favorite game for the playing cards, hearts. They're called cards, We make pyramids. You can play hundreds of games with them. And if the first game you try isn't the one that you go, wow, this is awesome, keep trying. There's more games. You're going to find one that you think is incredible. And then you're going to find another that you think is incredible. And so there's no greater value for money than a set of these pyramids. Because there's, no matter how many games you might learn, there's more that, we're inventing new ones all the time.
Yeah.
So just a final point on that, one of the things we think is cool is that when you know 10 of these games, we give you the lofty title of Starship Captain. So only if you make a list. You have to make a list of your favorites and have them in order. Because the idea is that when two Starship Captains get together, they then say, well, what game would you like to play? Well, what's on your list? Well, Zendo is on top of my list. Oh, yeah, well, I'm more of a Homeworlds player. Oh, Homeworlds, that's second on my list. Let's throw it down and play Homeworlds.
Nice.
I love Homeworlds, by the way. Homeworlds is the greatest game ever for the pyramid. It is also one of the most complicated games. It's an interstellar combat space battle game between, just galaxies of ships. It's just an incredible game. I could go on and on about that one game alone. And again, there's 400 plus games you can play with these pyramids.
I was going to ask real quick, if people want to figure out where they can see all of these game variants or all the games that they can play with the pyramids, where could people go to actually see these?
Well, I would always say LooneyLabs.com is a great place to go to as a jumping off point for anything of ours. But when it comes to the pyramids, I would point you to, if you want to see like all of the games, go to a fan-run site called icehousegames.org, where that's where the fans who invent games kind of register their games And that's where, when I say there's 400 and some games, there's a counter on this website. It's a wiki where people put up the rules for their games.
Excellent. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to post a link to that in the Facebook page as well.
Well, you do.
You know, that's a hard act to follow. I mean, he's passionate about pyramids, but you're one of the most prolific, game designers in the industry right now, because just Fluxx is this amazing thing. You've won these a tremendous amount of awards, and coming as a second career, no less.
It's actually go on. What?
The question I have is, what advice would you have for someone who's trying to get into game design?
I'm serious about the first thing you said at the beginning of the show. That computer programming is actually, I think, a really good discipline to study. There's a lot of parallels between creating a software program and a set of rules. Humans are basically like computers that run the software that is the set of game rules that you give them. But I also would say play a lot of games. If you've got to, game design is like any other creative endeavor, be it writing a poem or, a book or a piece of music or directing a film. Anyone can do it if they set their mind to it, if they have enough creative drive and energy to go at it. But their first ones are not necessarily going to be any good. You got to develop your craft. And you got to study what else is out there. You got to keep abreast of the state of the art. You got to play a lot of other games to see what ideas you might have. And then, for as a good place to get started, take a game you like and change the rules to it. I'm big on that because, of course, my game Fluxx is all about changing the rules. But take a game that you like and put your own spin on it. Change it around. Maybe take two games and combine them. Make a mashup. These are. I think a lot of game designers get their start that way. I'd like to say myself that I did. One of my first efforts was combining the classic board game Risk with the underground hit Nuclear War.
Ooh.
Shout out to my fellow game designer Rick Loomis.
Flying Buffalo.
One of my favorite games ever. Exactly, Flying Buffalo.
Absolutely.
So I've always been a fan of Nuclear War, and so one of the first things I did, as I said, was adding in the missiles and the warheads and being able to nuke territories and having them then be impassable, and you put little radioactive chips. So we like I said, I was combining Risk and Nuclear War, called it Nuclear Risk, and really that was one of my earliest efforts. So that's a great way for a new designer to get started. And don't feel bad about these kind of experiments. They're how you build your craft. They're how you go from a getting started to someday being a professional. But as a last thing, I would caution against anyone hoping to do what I've done, because I've been very, very lucky. It is most people don't get to make their living full time inventing games. If you can create a game and have people play it, more power to you. Think of it as a hobby, though. Don't go quitting your day job.
So speaking of designing games full time, I have to ask: do you have any sneak peeks or hints or anything about what might be coming out of Looney Labs next?
Oh, sure. I'd love to tell you about Choose One. It's my new party game where you're trying to guess what your friends are going to choose between, 200 and some different things. Chocolate or vanilla, window or aisle, party or after party. All of these kind of those popular questions you might have at a party. I've gathered those together into an actual party game about it, and I'm really excited about it. It's at the printer now. Comes out October 18th.
Nice.
Choose one.
Choose one. Excellent. So
get some good insight to your friends with that one.
Yeah, no, that's actually awesome. I'm always looking for good party games, so that's I'll definitely.
Well, I've been trying to put together. I mean, people sometimes call Fluxx a party game. I don't think it's really it's not a party game. It's just a zany card game.
It's fun, but it's not a party game.
I've been for a long, long time trying to say, well, what would I do if I'm really going to do a party game? And so I have finally done one, And I'm thrilled to say it's coming to a store near you in a few months.
Excellent. So speaking of things at a store near us here, Fluxx The Board Game just came out. Where can the listeners buy it? Where can they find it?
You should be able to find it at any friendly local game store. You know, every town has one of these friendly mom and pop type game stores. You might have to seek it out, but they should be able to have it. If they don't have it, they can order it. If that always fails, you can always go online. But, you know, if you do, please go to LooneyLabs.com. But please go to, if you can find a local game store and support them, we always want you to do that first. And you can go to our website, LooneyLabs.com, and enter in your zip code to our online roster, and that will tell you exactly where you can find a brick-and-mortar store near you that sells our games.
Well, as a guy who used to own one of those friendly neighborhood game stores, I thank you for helping to encourage purchasing there. And absolutely, guys, go to LooneyLabs.com, enter your zip code, figure out where your local game store is, and go buy it there. And definitely go buy this game. It is worth every penny. It is, like I said, I came in as a doubter, thinking that this was not going to be very good, and I was completely turned around and blown away with the quality and just how addictively fun playing the game is. So thank you, Andrew, for designing it, and thank you for being on the show.
Well, you're very welcome, and it was great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Excellent. So that was Andrew Looney of Looney Labs, and guys, make sure that you do check it out, and as well, plugging a few of their other things as well. If you're not sure on Fluxx, and I know you can play it on iOS, so if you've got an Apple, you got an iTouch, an iPhone, and an iPad, download the game there. It's very possible, and I'm actually going to check right now. To see, dead air. Help me out, Pat. Here, I'm going to go see. I'm going to see if it's just Apple or if it's Android as well.
It is not. I just looked on Google Play a little while ago before the show started, and I know that it's not there because I wanted to buy it, and I still can't. And I forgot to ask Andrew about it.
Oh. So,
sad panda.
But I know it's available for iOS. I've actually played Andrew on it. It's fun. It's fun to play on iOS. You can play back and forth socially. You can play it. You can play real time, or you can just kind of play turn based. However, it actually works for you and your life.
And if you haven't played Fluxx, get it together, man.
Yeah, seriously, this is one of the better games that exists out there. Whenever somebody came into my store, it was one of the first 3 or 4 games I would recommend. It's that much fun. It's fun for the whole family. Seriously, that was an honor to have Andrew on the show, and I'm kind of giddy as a fanboy that I actually got to talk to him. So when we come back, we're going to do our Kickstarter of the week and talk a little bit about what we've been playing. You're listening to the Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network. Do you need professional, reliable dog walkers, house sitters, or cageless in-home boarding? Check out my friends over at Leash and Lodge. They use GPS tracking for their walks, so you know they're always showing up when they say they do. With a 5-star Yelp average, they're the only guys you need to know. When you sign up, mention promo code DOME to get $15 off your first invoice. Check them out now at leashandlodge.com. That's leash, A-N-D, lodge.com. Leash and Lodge, because the better way is finally here.
Do you have a bookshelf full of comic books?
Yes.
Right next to the one full of video games?
Yes.
Are you a Whovian? A Trekkie? Do you aim to misbehave?
Yes.
Are you friends with Leonard and Sheldon? Do you tabletop with Will?
Yes.
If you answered yes to any of these, I have a new podcast for you.
What is it?
Digital Nerdage, the nerd culture podcast, visits everything in the world of nerd. Check it out at www.digitalnerdage.com.
I'm on my way right now. Check it out, guys.
Do you like stand-up comedy? Ever wonder what it takes to get up in front of a bunch of strangers and try to make them laugh? The truth is out there, folks, and Jake Adams brings you the nitty-gritty on his hot new podcast, Coming Up Standing. Every week on Coming Up Standing, Jake interviews another fresh up-and-coming comic like himself, hustling to make it happen on the LA comedy scene. Coming Up Standing is a free download available on iTunes. You can also find Jake on Twitter at Young Jake Adams. Coming Up Standing. Listen today and get your laugh on.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Gamers Dome.
You had to do that when I was co-hosting, didn't you? You had to mess with it.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
What are you, Meg Ryan now?
Oh, Meg Ryan, Daniel Bryan, something like that.
I'm going to go off topic here for just a moment because I'm still a big wrestling fan. And they have the Total Divas thing that they're doing on E, and it's following the Divas and the Bella twins. If you obviously not everybody know who those are, but they're dating the two biggest stars in the industry, and they're on the show, and it's an insanity. But anyway, sorry for the tangent.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a little bit of a wrestling guy too, and I cannot see myself getting behind Total Divas. I just can't.
Well, the Bella twins are dating Daniel Bryan and John Cena.
Wait, are they really?
Yeah, Nikki's with John, and Bria's been with Daniel Bryan for like 2.5 years.
Holy moly! I did not know that.
Yeah, I found that out in the first 10 minutes of the show, and I'm like, I had no intention of watching this, but maybe I might have to. Wow,
we're gonna have a little bit of a sibling rivalry at SummerSlam, eh?
That would be, yeah.
My boyfriend can beat up your boyfriend. Oh yeah, prove it. I apologize to anyone who just did not care at all about that tangent we just went off of. But if I'm going to start on a yes tangent, I've got no choice. Okay, Kickstarter of the week. So I came across a project called Smart Q45. I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I don't so much care for the name. I don't so much care for the video that they put out. But if you can get past the video and you get past the name, what you've got behind it looks like a really solid, fun, good game. It looks like it's going to mostly be one of those social games where you're going to... it's probably going to be free, and then there's micro purchase stuff. So while I'm not usually a big fan of those, it doesn't look like it's something that you have to do. They have a couple of neat things that you can get, like high quality versions of the actual soundtrack from the game, exclusive prints, credited in the game, a lot of fun stuff. I can't say that I'm even a huge fan of the rewards as well. So it's kind of funny. You've got to think that if I'm not a fan of the video, I'm not a fan of the name, I'm not a fan of the rewards, why am I pushing it? Well, I'm pushing it because I think the game itself is actually pretty awesome. I like the idea of it's a very visual game. They ask you a question, and all of the answers are in pictures. So you have to select the correct picture. And it could be all sorts of questions. And as you get pictures correct, it reveals a small portion of a bigger picture. And as soon as you can name what that bigger picture is, you're correct. And if you can, the fewer tiles revealed you can do it in, the higher your score. I really just thought that this was a great concept. I've not maybe games like this are out there. I've not seen one exactly like this. So I would encourage everyone to go on there and you know what? Just back a little bit here. They're only looking for £3,500. It's a UK game. So it's not like they need a ton of money to make this happen.
You haven't seen the exchange rate recently, have you?
No. Yeah, I know. That's 3,500 pounds is probably about 6,500.
Yep.
About $6,500.
Yeah, which isn't bad. No, and this kind of reminds me of taking some stuff from 4 Picks 1 Word, but kind of like the inverse.
Yeah.
And then adding in like the old, like the memory type game where you do the match and it reveal part of the picture, and the mechanics of this game look really cool. The presentation is pretty lackluster, but hopefully they can get past it. And I would like to see this game come to market. I think it'd be a solid game to check out and have some fun with, because it'd be a nice time killer. They're promising, I think, 165 levels, and if I understood it correctly, 45 difficulties per level, or is how it was.
There's like 45 questions per level and like 165 levels. I mean, this is quite a bit. Some of their stretch goals will get you out on other platforms: Windows Phone, Android, Facebook, PC, Mac. But let's at least make sure that they hit their minimum goal. Let's get going on that here. I mean, you can pledge as little as £1, so about $1.90. So feel free to contribute whatever you can. Like I said, if we can just, they need 3,500. So if we can get everyone to contribute £1, we get 3,500 people to do £1 each. Boom, we got a game. So
I find it interesting, and maybe I missed it. I always thought it was more expensive to develop on iOS because of the custom language and everything. But I mean, they're asking for £10,000 before they even do an Android release. So I'm kind of interested on that. That'd be an interesting question to ask some of the developers out there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I agree with you. I mean, I guess maybe because all of my devices are Apple, I'm partial to things coming out on Apple. I don't know. I still feel like Apple right now, iOS is still the most prevalent platform out there. It is equalizing more. But I still feel like most developers feel that they're going to make the most money by putting it out on iOS first. And, I mean, that seems to be a pretty consistent sentiment throughout the industry.
Well, and I know part of it is that, when you're developing for Apple, you're developing for one device. For Android, you're developing for countless different devices. So,
yeah, exactly. So, okay. What have we been playing? Pat, you go first.
This is going to crack some people up because I have been playing a 10-year-old game lately, and that's pretty much all I've been playing. I have been playing Star Wars Galaxies.
Really?
Yes. They shut it down a year and a half ago. When Star Wars The Old Republic came out, Star Wars Galaxy shut its servers down. And what has happened is a group of people have gotten together, and part of the way they've gotten around some of the, I don't know if gotten around, but they've made sure that it's legal, is to play the emulator, you're required to own the game. You're required to own the discs, which, I mean, if you don't, they're still around, I mean, for, $10, $20 on eBay, but they went and they are rebuilding the game from the ground up because Sony swears up and down that they destroyed the code for pre-CU. And that's what they're doing. They're doing the game in pre-CU. So the first time I played it, it was pretty rough. It didn't really feel like the old game, but I barely played the game when it first was out. But I'm kind of glad that I'm getting the ability to go back and do this with a bunch of people that I'm playing games with right now. So it's got a really cool feel to it, and it's I mean, the macros are there. They're still building in a lot of things. They just had a massive update that put a bunch of this stuff in. So no Jedi yet. So everybody remembers how the game changed when they came around. So it's a lot of fun to be just. It's a grindy game, but it's a lot of fun to grind it.
Fun. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I played a little Magic. I went 2-4 to PTQ. I was 0-3 at one point. So I don't always do well. In fairness, it was standard. I haven't played standard in 11 years, and I didn't even play test a deck at all. I just built it and went. And definitely would have rebuilt it if I could do it over. In fairness, I didn't think I was going to win the PTQ. I just needed enough Planeswalker points to get my 2-round bye for Grand Prix Stabby Stab Stab. And I'm also looking at Oklahoma City and Albuquerque coming up, maybe others. So I wanted to make sure I got those 2 buys. So I only needed 2 wins, and I did get the 2 wins that I needed, and then promptly left. But it was good to play a good constructed tournament, and actually, to be honest with you, it was kind of good to get my ass kicked a little bit. I've been doing very well lately, and I kind of needed to be brought back down. I'd say a notch, but I really got back maybe 3 or 4 notches. It was pretty humiliating. My joke on the day is they actually held the tournament at a high school. And my joke for the day was, I didn't get taken to school that day. I drove myself there. So, on top of that, I've been going Looney. I've been playing a lot of Fluxx, a lot of Monty Python Fluxx, and I still feel like my either Southerner or Asian accent is far more outrageous than a Canadian accent, but. I digress, and I will use neither of them on air as I am afraid of offending people. So I don't know why I'm worried about that now. But
I was about to say,
but those are reserved for for in my own home. And I've also played with the Pyramids, as I mentioned in the interview. I got to play. I've got to play Treehouse, and I got to play Pharaohs. And you know what? It is. The Pyramids, they're not a game. It's a game system. And as he told you, there's like 200 freaking games out there with more being developed. So
didn't he say 400?
Oh, did he say 400? I thought he said 200.
I thought he said 425.
Oh, my gosh. I missed that part. So, but yeah, I put up a link. I put up a link to where you can actually learn more about the games. It's on the Facebook page. Check it out. The Pyramids aren't that expensive. I mean, it's you know what? When you're down at your local game store picking up a version of the board game, pick up a copy of Pyramids. And if they don't have it, go to the owner or go to the guy behind the counter and say, hey, listen, I want to get Pyramids. Can you order it? And Looney Labs is again, I used to own a game store. Looney Labs is easy. Anything that you want, most every major distributor is going to carry them. So just ask for it. They'll order it. They'll get it for you. So yeah, Monty Python Fluxx the board game, all the Pyramids. It's been a Looney week for me, and it's been a fun week of gaming. I'll tell you that. So we have come to the end of yet another show. This is where
thankfully
this is where I start the music.
You're just having all kinds of trouble with buttons today.
Oh, I don't know if I'm having trouble with the buttons. I'm just vocalizing more what I'm doing. I should stop thinking out loud. I'd like to thank everyone who has supported the show, which includes the sponsors. Pat, thank you for coming this week. I would like to thank Melissa, both of you, again, for all of your help this week. Laura, thank you for helping playtest and all the games of Fluxx as well. There's more people. Sean, thank you. I could keep going, but I'm not going to. Until next week, this is Scott for the Gamer's Dome.
And Pat from Digital Nerdage.
Make sure you check out Digital Nerdage as well, digitalnerdage.com. Great podcast. Until next week, keep playing, everyone. Bye.